It's the best of Ron and Fez on XM 202.
By the way, did you guys watch the Bob Costas, his new show? Is it Now or something?
Yes.
On HBO. He's got a whole new format, and it's a town hall type of thing. And did you watch it, Fez?
I have not seen this.
Of course not. You're not a real sports fan. That's why you picked that girl over. And that's why Saturday, this tape will be given as Exhibit A.
Do not send audio to the Nut Hut.
Oh, it's going to be video.
What?
Franklin's working on it. So you've seen his show before, so. I'm telling you, this is an hour and a half. It was tense. It was dynamite. Town hall setup. He brought out athletes to fight against sports radio guys. Mm-hmm. Mad Dog and Michael Strahan. It was really great shit. But as far as the sports, and went on like that. He did race. I think he brought up the fact of the drugs, that the fact that Bonds had gotten a lot more heat than some of the white guys have. Some of the white sports announcers disagreed with that. It was really, really a good fucking show, though, all the way around. But I will say this. I was very surprised with Mike and the Mad Dog. They said the Giants winning the Super Bowl, the way they did, that great Super Bowl victory, was a 9 for them. But the Mets blowing it was a 10. That was perfect radio because sports radio is just based on negativity. It was the angle that they gave. That is just a bunch of yelling and screaming, and it's about blowhards not being able to feel satisfaction in their own life, so they take it all out into sports radio.
Yeah, I've been saying it too for a long time. I mean, Francesa is one of the most miserable people. He goes through divorce. I mean, he's a horrible guy, and he wants to be.
Do you listen to sports radio at all?
I absolutely do, and it drives me insane. It's like heroin because I ended up yelling at the radio and getting pissed off, but I want to hear what they have to say.
What about you, Earl?
Yeah, I listen on Sundays in the car with my father when we're driving home. And
is it negative even on Sundays?
It's extremely negative because don't find the negative angle. I remember Bernie Williams had the greatest series of his life, and he went, "Well, I think all I can say is Bernie Williams is overrated. He's not the best center field." I was like, give the guy some credit for a minute. They don't let up on negativity for a second.
How about you, Fez? Sports radio?
No, I do not listen.
And yet you feel the need to be able to judge that young girl who cheated her way into your heart.
And the
she
girl that
cheated.
helped her.
You know who else you would love as a sportsman for you?
Who?
Benedict Arnold. You would love him.
I don't think he played sports.
Strahan said he would never do that show. He said he was on Mike and the Mad Dog. They were great to him. And he filled in because somebody else, got sick or hurt or whatever. They were great to him. On the way home, they're just ripping him the whole time that he's driving home. And he goes, those assholes. And, Mad Dog didn't even say, it's not true. He literally didn't care whether Strahan ever did his show or not. One of the reasons I can't stand sports radio is how fast the callers talk. They just everybody sounds like they're on crystal meth. Everybody who calls the show is cranked up. Here's Paul. Paul, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, guys, I saw the Costa special the other night, and my favorite part was Buzz Bissinger, who wrote Friday Night Lights and Three Nights in August. He's talking to a blogger on set, and he's like, I don't really put a lot of credibility into blogs when one blogger's name is Balls Deep, and the place just popped pretty good for it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Balls Deep was, there was another thing with sports writers fighting with the bloggers and saying we have some journalistic background. We have integrity. And they were saying the same thing about sports radio, where there's going, you guys all have broads on. You really don't care whether you get facts right or wrong. Doesn't matter. Here's Julie, the hot little Brazilian. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
I'm good, darling. How are you?
I don't understand why everybody wants a movie ending, like a happy movie, everybody has to win.
Because they
People
don't want real life, honey.
Exactly.
That's the problem. The sport is not good enough for them. They want Rudy. They want a Rudy ending. Even when the real Rudy, it never happened like that at all. They would rather throw out reality and cry to a fake movie then realized this is the way life is.
The real Rudy teammates were like, this guy was a dork.
They hated him.
We hated his ass. His
They
guts.
couldn't stand him. Thank you for calling us, Julie.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here is Dan. Dan, you're on Fez.
Hey, 19275, buddies.
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
There's a guy down here in Philly named Howard Eskin who
Right.
is so, you know who I mean. Actually almost started a fist fight with Charlie Manuel, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. And he just feeds on negativity, but he's almost always correct in his analysis.
My dad either loves him or turns him off and yells at him, and this has been going on for years. My dad always tells me a Howard Eskin story every time I talk to him. You hear that asshole Howard Eskin? Or Howard Eskin really had it right on this one. He's
That's
just...
exactly how he is.
Every sports talk radio fan is exactly like that. There's so many things that I hate about Mike and the Mad Dog, and listen to him. I mean, but Francesa starts every sentence with, the idea that. Is that necessary? Like, the Giants are going to the Super Bowl. The idea that the Giants are going to the Super Bowl. The idea that Eli Manning is now in Peyton's league. Like, fuck you.
It's preposterous.
And I've never heard Chris Russo say years old. He always says, Mike Mussina is 41 years of age. Who says years of age? What is this, a Charles Dickens book? He's never said years old in his life.
And then this was so embarrassing that he started the show with, good evening, everybody.
That fucking
I
thing.
just stared at him. Here is Terry. Terry, you're on Fez.
Hey, what's up, boys? How you doing?
Yeah, good.
Stevie Summers is the best on the fan, but I love the trade proposals people call up with. It's like, if you're a Mets fan, it's like, yeah, what do you think about the Mets getting Oswalt for maybe, someone like Sanchez or something like that? The proposals are always the dumbest things in the world.
That's a really good point. 99% of what you're listening to will never happen. And it's always like, and they call and they talk real fast. What do you think about this? Mike Vick gets out of prison. He ends up going down to New Orleans for a number 3 pick, and they're just going as fast as they can. And then it's the old, I'll hang up while you answer.
It's the most retarded thing in the world. When they put together like the 3-team proposals too, it just gets so convoluted and doesn't make any sense. It makes you think no one listening to sports talk knows a goddamn thing about sports.
The basic thing that has come down to now, and the embarrassing part of this entire thing, is that when you are a sports fan, you are lumped in with some of the stupidest people on the planet. And, we brought up the Philly thing. They brought up the fact that trade where those face painters, mouth breathers, came all the way up from Philly on a bus to sit around and boo the draft pick that time. That turned out to be probably the best draft pick that the Eagles have ever had in their life. Since that day, everybody feels like they need to go to the trade, to the draft.
Yeah, McNabb.
And scream and boo and do whatever they want to do. And it really looks like a bunch of knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing, face-painting, know nothing, live on their couch idiots. And that's what's fucked up for the rest of us that like to enjoy sports a little bit.
Right.
Without acting like, oh, when I got to stop and get some paint on my face by the time they're there. Now, Earl, how big a role does sports play in your life? Being a sports fan itself.
It plays a very big role. With baseball, I'm from March until October. That's a big
So
chunk of my
baseball is
year.
your main time, and you follow all the other sports as well?
Yeah, I follow football, mainly football and baseball, and some basketball. But,
And that's only because the Knicks blow. If the Knicks were better, you'd probably be watching. Pitsy, what about for you?
It's daily part. I watch sports every night. I'm always on ESPN. It basically takes over my life, especially baseball season.
Dave?
Same thing as Pitsy. I am so obsessed with sports that I look for a time off. It's year-round with me because I have baseball, basketball, football, but I also have the college sports, college basketball, college football. I never get a break. And sometimes I'm, actually tired.
You're a fan?
Yeah, I'm like, I need a vacation from being a sports fan.
What about you, Fezzi? Just girls softball?
No, it takes up half my year from football season, college and pro, from September through the Super Bowl. It takes up every single weekend and every hour of those weekends.
When he hears the word sports, he thinks I mean football. It really doesn't dawn on him that there are other sports. You watch constant college football, constant pro football.
Right. On a Saturday during college football season, I will watch it as soon as it's... I'll watch College Game Day starting at 10:30, whenever it comes on, and then into any late game with teams I don't even realize are there.
But this is the weird thing for him. Pitsy's talking about full-time. Dave's talking about full-time. Fez is a straight hardcore 48 hours, but only during the colder months.
I envy him.
Yeah.
I think that's why I don't get into baseball or basketball. I think I am just burnt on it by the time the Super Bowl's over.
No, you're always depressed when the Super Bowl's over. You're almost in tears.
That's why withdrawal is so bad when the Super Bowl's over.
Here's Rich. You're on Fez.
Hey, how you doing? Ronnie, if you saw the end of that clip with Russo and Strahan, they were going a little back and forth, and at the very end, Strahan got a big pop from a line. I forgot what it was. And Russo went to give him a high five, and Strahan totally fucking dicked him over, and Russo did the hand comb over, which was hysterical.
Yeah. And I think it might have even been planned. If I'm being totally honest,
Really?
I think that was even a work. Because you could tell Russo didn't even slightly care about this. But there is no way... you take a guy like Russo, he's what, late 40s?
Yeah, he's about, yeah.
And he's talking about guys that are half of his age, screaming about this and that. I mean, one of the things they try to go is, why aren't there any black leaders anymore like there used to be, And one of the reasons that came up with number one was, as soon as you get the money, they got you then. Because you don't want to do anything to fuck up your commercial deals. You don't want to do anything to fuck up your contract. How quick they can take you down. And two, they totally take you out of the people that you know. You're not part of the black American experience. Suddenly you're living in some mini mansion on the outside of, Salt Lake City or some bullshit. So everything and these guys are 22 years old. How do they know how to be a leader? They're not at all. And just getting bombarded, just smashed by the bloggers, by the newspapers, by the TV. Nobody who plays sports is interested in reading those things, listening to them, or hanging out with any of those people. They only look now at the fans as someone to take money off of. And they think that everybody's insane. They're just screaming white people.
We are, though.
But here's the thing that kills me. I will look at all you guys who say you're obsessed with sports, and I hear the way you judge these guys, the way they play. On a level, you never judge your own performance here at work. The perfection that you expect out of your sports heroes is so much more than what you expect out of yourself.
It's much easier to critique others.
Yeah.
Well, oddly enough, you have a job where you could do that, and we would all be amused by it. So bring that easiness into this gig. Here's Mark. Mark, you're on Run Fez.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
What drives me insane in both sports radio and sports TV is commentators and guys making their opinion and constantly say, what if? Oh, if he would have just ran this route, this would have happened. If this would have happened, this would have happened. It's like it didn't happen.
Right.
Quit saying, what if?
Relive things constantly going over things like there was an Earth 2, like there was other dimensions that this reality exists on.
And if they had their own way, there wouldn't be a coach that lasted in any league more than 3 games. Everyone would be getting fired constantly.
Here's our good friend, the Blowhard. Well, actually, a lot of the coaches are pretty much getting fired constantly now, no matter what sport you're in.
Yeah, Avery Johnson's out.
Avery Johnson, who has one of the best regular season records in the history of coaching basketball, cannot go because his team didn't win the championship.
And he got him to the finals 2 years ago.
Doesn't matter. You got to win.
Right.
You have to win and win it all. Because as we know, you guys have the highest standards known to man. Your standards are incredible. But, over the years, I think I busted Bob Costas' balls quite a bit. But I got to tell you, I thought that this special that he did was one of the best hour and a halves I've seen on TV, any kind. I was like, this is what we need to be doing politically. This is the way we should be sitting down looking at our political race that we have going on right now. Well, here's the blowhard from Brooklyn.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Listen, I've always believed that sports radio has great potential, but it's dumbed down for a reason. I once called Mike and the Mad Dog, and I complained that they're not doing, topics, and it's just people calling up. Hey, who should the Mets trade? Who do you think? It's just like imbeciles calling up radio stations. And Mike and the Mad Dog told me that the callers are the people who control the things that are being discussed. So if there's a topic or some current event that you want to talk sports, they said that, no, we have to do what the callers want us to do. And the reason why people like Chris Russo, who's basically a rude jackass and he's obnoxious, is because he pisses people off and he gets the rubes to call in, and he'll say something totally off the wall because it creates controversy. He doesn't believe in what he says. He's not sincere. He hates the Yankees with a passion, and he knows that some guy's going to be driving in his car cursing, calling in, when in fact sports radio, like talk radio, has potential to be civil, to be educational, and to be very entertaining, but it's not because it's dumbed down by morons.
But see, that's the thing. The people get what they want. And we talked about this before. It really is always up to the consumers. If you buy the Big Mac, they will keep giving you Big Macs. The day that you go, I got to have something else behind a Big Mac, is the day that they're going to come out with a salad. They don't give a shit what they sell you as long as you buy it. They will give you whatever you want.
And as long as the ratings keep up. The other day I had Mike and the Mad Dog on. They had an hour discussion. Should Met fans boo Carlos Delgado for shunning them by not doing a curtain call? Now, to me, that was like one of the dumbest topics I've ever heard in my life. But the people were irate. The Met fans were calling up, screaming about what a scumbag Carlos Delgado was for not coming out for a curtain call.
But I did like this about Mike and the Mad Dog on there. They basically said, this is just wrestling. It's just a chance to let the listeners do whatever they want, and then. And that's it. It really isn't about anything else.
Radio. If you're going to go to a stadium and boo your favorite... See, I don't boo my team. I never do. I never did.
I'm from Philly. I was brought up differently.
Well, the thing is, if you go to the movies and Tom Cruise does a bad movie, you got to stand there and boo him?
Well, he can't hear you. But if I was at a Broadway play and Tom Cruise was coming out there, I probably would.
People have this resentment because these guys are making tons of money, and they go to the ballpark, and just because they think they're paying, for these $8 beers and these $100 box seats, they have the right to be jack-offs. And the same with talk radio. It's the same boring shit. Here in New York, it's just people these hosts are cloned. And they all put on these fake radio voices.
Blower, you need to work in radio. That's what you really need to do.
What was that, Ron?
You need to work in radio.
I have to work in radio. I can save sports talk radio.
Oh, I would love it. All right, my friend, I got to go. All right, 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. Here's Brian. Brian, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Ronnie B?
Hey, dude.
I currently boycotted ESPN because I just can't take it anymore. The NFL draft, they do the pre-draft, the combine.
The reason for that is that this country is really a one-sport town anymore. Basically, the way Fez watches is closer than the way that most sports fans are. I think probably most guys in this country who watch all sports also watch baseball, football as their number one sports, and then more people just watch football and don't watch other things along with that. I would guess that most people are at least somewhat involved in every sport, but I don't even think it's close between like baseball and football anymore. I don't even think it's debatable.
No, football's just gigantic, leaps and bounds.
And when we're talking about dumb sports fans, no one is dumber than the football fan. I would even go so far to say the wrestling fan is brighter and thinks more than the football fan.
Football fans dumber than NASCAR?
I've never really been to NASCAR. It's about a car going around in a circle. Well, that's going to be a close one.
I don't think a NASCAR fan face paints, though.
Yeah, but they do make a big deal about how much merchandise they buy.
Oh,
man.
Man,
they are fucking sheep.
Yeah, they do gather up the goods.
Yeah. Here is Milt. Milt, you're on Fez.
Hey, Ron. I just wanted a quick little note. This guy that's calling in, these jackasses that listen to Mad Dog Sports for an hour, and they hate what they're talking about, and they're complaining the whole time, why not just turn the channel and go listen to something else?
Because they enjoy hating. They enjoy being angry. The same reason why a lot of liberals will watch Fox News and sit there and scream at Bill O'Reilly, or they'll turn on Rush Limbaugh and scream. I've done it myself.
Yeah.
I've sat there like a goddamn idiot yelling back at the TV. You couldn't be more wrong.
I get it. I just think those guys, they got to do something else with their time. That's all.
Another thing that I can't stand anymore on sports TV, and I'm going to throw it into football more than anything, is that the constant need for cackling and backslapping and people jumping up and down with you got to bring some to get some logic, you know?
Yeah.
Like everybody just yelling out, oh, I'm going to get some of mine. This is my time to talk. Just shut up and be like a person. And yet these shows are huge. Anytime that people sit around and listen to Terry Bradshaw's opinion on things, you know there's something deeply off course about where this country is right now. Here's Rick. Rick, you're on Fez.
Hey, Dick Holder 941 checking in, buddy.
Hey, brother, what can we do for you?
Face!
I've been to many football games, and I've been to many NASCAR races. And I've got to say that NASCAR fans are crazy on a completely different level. Where football fans will tailgate for 2 or 3 hours beforehand, NASCAR fans show up 4 days beforehand.
Yeah, I lived in Daytona, so I saw the city of trailers that starts there like a week before the 500, where they found out there's more people living in the parking lot than there is in the surrounding city. It's embarrassing.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
And if you went to the 500 with all those, how many people are in that stadium? Like a couple 100,000?
Yeah, that's how much it holds. It's that big.
It's something like 4.5 hours to leave. If you try to get out of there, it takes forever.
It doesn't seem like fun.
My dream is a Daytona 500 Hurricane. That is my dream. To turn Florida into a blue state.
You know what sucks about sports, like on TV now? How they always need robots or lasers or special effects in between pitches or in between plays on the football field.
Now, a lot of that has to do with people do not want to watch football. They want to watch Madden. They want to look like a video game. So now the actual games look more and more like a video game. And I would think if you were a little kid, like 10 years old, and you'd only watched football on TV, and then you went to a game, I think you might be bored pissless.
Yeah.
But they literally had to put up giant screens at the stadiums now because human beings don't know how to sit and watch a live event. They need to be entertained like it was a crazy movie or a video game.
There is a network that'll show a replay with video game characters, or they'll show a player as a video game character when they're giving out stats.
Ryan, you're on Fez.
Hey, the thing that I find most cringe-inducing about watching sports is the halftime thing where the sportscasters in their suits and ties and pleated pants go through the plays.
Now everyone has that with the fake little field where, like, we would all get up from here and go over, and I'm quarterbacking, and Fez goes out for 2 yards while Dave covers him, and then Fez shakes his head to the left and is somehow wide open in an area that is about as big as a phone booth. And what a waste of time. Jeff, you're on Run Fez.
Yeah, hey, Ronnie, how about that fucking John Madden describing the game as if the whole fucking audience is blind? He just keeps repeating exactly what you just watched.
Yeah. And was he the first one to really, like, make a big deal about people's weight and acting like that was fun or interesting? Or, look at him, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
he's a big guy.
Giving out turkey legs.
Yeah, circling some guy eating a hot dog, and he'll circle the mustard on the hot dog. Like, okay.
It's just, the stupidity factor is amazing.
Have you ever noticed this? Sports guys love saying the bottom line, so much so that there is no bottom line. You can only have one bottom line. They'll be like, bottom line, the Giants need to win. Bottom line, if they don't win, coach is getting fired. Bottom line, if he gets fired, like, you can only have one bottom line.
You're going back to Mike and the Mad Dog over and over.
Just everybody, though. All analysts do that.
Here is James. James, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, buddies, how you doing today?
Good.
All right, here's my thing. All right, Dave, what's your favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
All right, let me ask something. Yankees win World Series. Yankees are bottom of the league. What do you get out of it? I mean, when they go to the championships and they win the rings, I mean, you don't get a ring. I mean, I understand the fanaticism behind your fandom. It's like these people don't care whether or not you go to see them. I mean, they make millions and millions of dollars.
That's a cynical way to look at life. I mean, you could say the same thing about looking at great pieces of art. You know, if you're a fan of a director and he makes a great film, you're going to feel excited by that.
But you don't act like you made a great film or somehow you were lifted. The difference between that and sports is that if the Yankees win and beat the Red Sox, you have beaten the Red Sox.
That's true.
When the Yankees lose, you're a loser who is in physical pain.
Right.
So you jump into something. And the illusion of this, let's say it's the Giants, your home, playing Fezzi's home, Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. And it now means it's New York versus Tampa. It's about the places that you grew up, and it's very important to you. Yet, none of those players are from Tampa. Quite a few of them come from New Jersey. When you see the Giants, there's no one from that area, but there are a couple of people who grew up in Florida. So you're not really seeing New York and Tampa. If you grabbed a bunch of guys out of your neighborhood and a bunch of guys out of Fez's neighborhood, you might be able to say, hey, we have the toughest neighborhood in America. But that doesn't exist. Everything about this hometown pride that you have is false. It's a lie. There is no and I'm not saying to watch sports and not enjoy it. I'm not even saying I have a problem with fandom. What I have a problem with is the stupidity factor of acting like you don't see the game in front of you, where you're still screaming when your team is 21 points down and your dumb face paint is peeling, as if you have something to do with this. It's a fucking embarrassment. And we can't even say it's an American thing, because you look at the soccer idiots around the world, and they're every bit, maybe even more so, more retarded than we are. Because at least we don't get on a plane. At least we don't attempt to burn the other city down on the after the game.
They'll kill over it. But it's such an emotional investment.
Why?
Because you spend time watching the games, you spend time at the games, you get caught up in the fervor of it.
But I don't see you having the same emotional investment into your own job and into your own life. I don't see you that fired up about how XM is doing, or how the virus is doing, or how the Ron and Fez show is doing. You're able to walk out of here without that same feeling that you get from sports. Something that you're not invested in. That any investment that you say you have is really false. It's just you pretending that you're invested in it. You really are. You don't know any of those people personally. And unless you put money down, there's nothing that could really affect you with that.
It's an excellent point. But, I mean, it's something that we do. Maybe it's easier to root for things outside of ourselves, too. You know, like
maybe because you're so disconnected and don't believe in yourself that you have to put it on these mythical heroes that you make that then become some kind of disappointment when they don't fulfill your fantasies. Maybe it's the same kind of thing of guys who like girls from afar and then one day decide that they're dirty whore cunts and hate them. And no one knows what the fuck they're talking about. Let me head on over here to Mark. Mark, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, talking about being invested in the team or in the sport, does it make you more of a fan or less of a fan if you're engaged in any sort of fantasy sports? So if you're playing, Bezzy's watching TV all weekend and then he's on the computer setting up a roster.
Well, that's funny to me because now the fantasy of that is pretending you're an owner or a GM. You're not even pretending you're in the sport or you're a coach anymore. You're drafting players. You're working in the front office. You're basically pretending you're one of the geeks, one of the fucking jock sniffers.
I got to bench T.O. this week. He's just not performing up to my level.
And I have so many people that talk to me like that, where they act like they're making some major decisions.
Big negotiations with Irish Alki this week.
And then
Ron.
they're like, oh, I got a lot of money. How much did you win? And you'll find out they won $85 over the season. I won $600. Over how long? The 16 weeks and then the playoff. What? That comes down to $8 a weekend. You're not even a gambler. Put some fat cash up on this.
Yeah, fantasy is a different thing.
You don't believe in the fantasy sport.
I hate it.
What about you, Pitsy? You seem like a fantasy guy now.
Yeah, I play fantasy baseball, basketball, and football.
So you're a year-round fantasy guy.
Yeah, and I think it makes me follow the sport even more because I would never follow people from Dallas if they weren't on my team. So I do follow the whole league more.
Al, you're on Run and Fez.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you said about, going for something outside yourself. I mean, I like sports. I like watching baseball. I like watching football. But to me, these guys that, paint their face and get out there and strip their clothes off in Chicago in the middle of winter, it's no different than chicks who get wrapped up in soap operas all crazy like that. You're just your life is so empty and meaningless. You're looking for something outside yourself.
Well, I am going to agree with that because, like I said, there is a lot to be enjoyed by being a sports fan. There is a lot to be there. But does there seem like there's a line, and I'll go so far to say a line of stupidity that you can cross over into? Yeah, I think you can.
That's true, I suppose. I mean, you were saying that earlier, and I really thought about it, but the fact that I say, with the Yankees, we need to beat the Red Sox this weekend, I would never say if I was a Scorsese fan, well, we just made The Departed. What a great film we made.
Right.
So that is a connection I never really even thought about, but that's bizarre to say, but I don't know why I do it, But I'm attached. I'm attached to my sports teams.
But do you think maybe you just act that way because other people do?
I mean, it's possible that I saw my brothers and my father acting that way, so I became acting that way. But I don't want to put my shit on them. I think it's more fun to pretend you're a part of the team, and so you say we need to sweep the Orioles this week.
Here's Ron. Ron, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Dave, don't lose your hope. The fan is part of the team. I don't agree with you, Ronnie B. When they're screaming and that other quarterback can't hear the signals and they can't hear the hike and that guy goes offside and mess up the game, the fan absolutely influences a win or a loss.
Do you realize how few fans of the Dallas Cowboys ever make it to the games? Why are you screaming at your house? Why is there a flag flying in your driveway? A good amount of fans now can't afford to be anywhere near the fucking game. Most of the good seats belong to corporations.
That's true.
And the fans are either up in the upper deck or more likely in front of some big screen TV in their man cave that has pictures that they fucking... Go ahead. Laugh at yourself, Earl. Because you deserve it.
Our basement still has posters of Jim Burt, number 64 for the fucking Giants. Not even LT. Jim Burt's in our basement.
Here's Tim. Tim, you're on Run and Fez.
I just wanted to say how fantasy sports kind of destroys your love for the game because, as a Yankees fan, if I have a Red Sox pitcher on my team and he's throwing against the Yankees, I kind of find myself rooting against the Yankees.
Yeah, that I do. I have had people say that, they want the Packers to win, but they also want to see... X amount of passing yards that happen against them.
Yeah, and that's why
you're not a real fan of your team.
That's why I think fantasy's bullshit if you're a sports fan.
Here is Paul. Paul, you're on Ron and Fez.
How you doing, buddies?
Yeah.
I was actually going to say that in 1954 in the World Cup in Brazil, Uruguay beat Brazil in the final, and I think more than 500 Brazilians actually committed suicide over it.
Then let me just say very quietly, yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. I do. The stuff that I see about football, world football, real football, I think makes us pale in comparison how fired up they get. Because they get fired up for their home team and then for their home country, and they got all kinds of different things. You know, there's so many different seasons over there. I can't even understand them. They get in tournaments that your whole season could be shot, but then you win one tournament, so you're proud of yourself.
And how insane must you be to be a South American soccer referee?
Oh,
Those
I
guys
can't.
are getting stabbed every other game.
I can't imagine a worse job.
Why would you do that?
You would have to leave your home country after a bad call.
If you can.
Well, here is Murray. Murray, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, what's up, buddies?
Yeah.
Was anybody upset the fact when the NCAA college thing was going on and they had that smug-ass, angry Bob Knight on there? And I know the suit doesn't make the man, but he looks like he just walked off the golf course in his sweater vest and golf shirt, and everybody else was wearing a suit. It just didn't really jive with everything that's going on. And he just thinks
I think that, like,
owns
with a
that.
Bobby Knight, if you love him, it's almost like anything in life. It's like, you know, the Democrats and Republicans. If you're a team, if you happen to love your team, then you love everything about them. And if you hate your team, you just hate that guy. You hate everything else about him.
Yeah.
Here's Sean. Sean, you're on Ron and Fez.
Mr. Bennington, you sound like $1 million.
I feel like $1 million today, my friend.
Hey, I had a question for you. What's the difference between the fans you're describing and these morons who are on the message boards for 22 hours a day?
They don't face paint. That's the real. I would dare to say that people don't live and die with their radio shows. I wish they would. I wish they cared about it as much as I do. They do not. Here's a Paycheck. Paycheck, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Good.
The way I see it is it's like a pretend war.
Yeah.
And your home team is, your country or whatever. You live and die with the team, and you get into it. I don't know about the face. Maybe you're in camouflage or something. But, to me, that's how I've always seen sports. It's like a battle out there, and it's a live or die situation. I think that's how people get emotionally caught up with it.
So it's almost like backyard playing guns with your friends.
Pretty much.
Stratego.
It's a pretend war through and through.
Well, they, so many times they will use the thing, they go to war, this is a
Right.
battle, the field general, which in reality, I would rather have people caught up in that kind of a thing, pretend war, than I would in a real war. I would much rather that people got out whatever aggressions they have there rather than on the battlefield.